Yeah. They only sent one bottle. It's opened. I filmed myself drinking it. Like I was like, what do I do?
You can always notice that sort of.
It's going to be off. You can tell.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good point as well. The fact that
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. Today, we are talking about edits and re-edits and the difference between an edit and the complete reshoot. So, without any further ado,
first of all, to get into like what is a re-edit. So I'll ask you, Nicola, too, but from my point of view, a re-edit, off the bat, it is not a reshoot. Basically, a re-edit is when you send a video to your brand and they come back saying like, right, either maybe something in the script, for example, quite a lot what we can see as well is the name of brands might be mispronounced. If packaging happens quite a lot, packaging may not be looking the best. It might be wrinkly and different stuff. Too many times through the last two side story here, I see like clothes people will showcase and they don't steam it. That's nearly like that's an automatic re-edit, but also to always steam and make sure everything looks as good as it can. Like don't just lift it out and go. So those would be re-edits. Would be maybe a couple of clips that need changed or something in the script that needs done. That would be my head. Nicola, what would you think?
Yeah, I do agree 100% that an edit and reshoot are very two different things. But obviously, it does depend on the content type that we shoot for,
Yes.
right? Because if it is an unboxing, etc., although unboxing can be quite tricky too, which we can discuss as well. But for example, the dreaded testimonial reshoot, right? So any re-edit in a testimonial might seem from the first glance that, oh my goodness, I need to reshoot the whole thing again. Hence why I think Ali mentioned it before, it is so crucial to send the script for approval, especially for a testimonial. I cannot imagine sending a video for approval before I send a script for a testimonial video because there's so many things that can go wrong. There could be one word that's not necessarily on brand that might not feel very important to us, but then the brand was going to be like, oh my goodness, we actually cannot say this, especially with like healthcare or supplement brands. There's so many restrictions for them what they can actually say that us as like users we might not be aware of. So always send that script for testimonial.
I was going to add on to back that down too, that it's not always for you sending for your own like approval. It's for the brand too that they don't think. Because so many times as well, like a brand could be like, after actually we didn't think of this, and now that we've got the video, we think of it. So it's nearly an extra feel safe for them that they'll be like, oh, we've changed that. Because so many times too, I've seen discount codes of brands and then they'll be like, actually we changed this, or they'll change messaging and they just forgot to tell the creator they create the video, and then it's not really their fault, but it still has to get re-edited. So that's another reason why it's so important.
So important. And then obviously it does depend on how you shoot your testimonial, because now obviously we're talking about the testimonial style of the video. But if it is a testimonial video with like B-roll shots throughout, obviously there's a couple of tricks that you can do to make those edits easier. For example, just adding more B-roll and then just re-recording a sentence. One little tip here would be to actually hold the camera or have the camera in the exact same position as it was for when you were recording the original testimonial, even for voiceovers. That way, that testimonial, the audio is going to be just
the same. Yeah.
You don't want to, I would highly advise against recording testimonial and then adding voiceover over B-roll. Because then it's just always audible. You can always notice that sort of.
It's going to be off. You can tell.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good point as well. The fact that, because so many times you do, it's like the flow's just not 100% right. If someone's face to camera and then all of a sudden switches to voiceover, you hear that. But also with re-edits, like I will always like film my entire bit, even if it's voiceover or face to camera, in the same position, because rooms have different echoes. They have different, like there is different things from room to room or location, that it's such a minor thing, but always you can hear it, and it's so hard
100%.
afterwards to edit it, and you don't want to have to ideally post-production, you don't want to have to go in then and fix all those bits because it's so tricky.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you can do to avoid any editing in post-production, do it while in production. That's always going to make your life easier and the content better at the end of the day. And I think also, if you deliver a testimonial and you do plan to add B-rolls, if you have a storyline or like storyboard already, then just read those bits, but just in front of the camera in the same position as you were talking.
Always,
as
I
well.
think this is such a hack for people too, because literally what I'll do is for my storyboard, I'll have this is exactly what I'm doing. I'll have this is face to camera, this is voiceover, face to camera, voiceover, and whatnot. But I'll literally then film those bits face to camera. I'll pick up my iPad because I always have it on the scripts on it, and literally just continue talking, but like not even looking at the camera. But the audio is still seamless that no one's going to know. And I think for people, they don't realize that you can do that. And also, too, it means you've got your entire script done in one sitting. And then throughout that too, if you've got face to camera bits again, you can just go, right, learn that bit off. Okay, go.
Yeah, also so much easier than for editing as well, because then you have just one
It's
long clip
one.
with the whole audio. You can play around and cut it as much as you want and then just add overlays or replace the clips, whatever works better for you. But either way, it's so much less
Yes.
hassle.
And I think too, that's a really big point that you were saying about the layovers. I think they are such like, once again, giving feedback, I'll always say to people like, utilize those layovers, because I personally think anyway, there's nothing worse in one face to camera clip if there's obvious cuts. I'm like, hide that, try and hide it somewhere or another. That's when you get your B-roll in, because once again, it helps not only in the editing that you can make it look more seamless, but also if you make a blip, it's not a full stressful reshoot of trying to learn off like a 60-second script that you're like, how am I going to do this? Because like that would be so difficult. So I think it is about getting smart. I will always have additional B-roll. I feel like every creator, well, if they don't do this, I'm impressed, but I struggle to nearly not film too much at times because I've like this angle, I want loads of options. But then that always is a saving grace, because if a brand comes back and it's like, oh, like this clip, could we actually like change it or just take that out? We're not going to show that angle, or we don't want the packaging to be shown or something. Then I'd be like, yeah, no bother. I don't have to do much. It's all on my phone or my iPod already that I can just go in, switch that bit out. I don't have to reshoot, because it means then for the brand, I can send that across ASAP rather than
Yeah.
being like, oh, I'm out at the minute. I'm not going to get to film this for another 3 or 4 days. Crap. Like, it's not going to work. So it is really about being smart ahead of time, thinking, worst case scenario, I'm covered.
And this is actually, I think, answering to Maria's question as well, is this is one of the biggest thing that you can do to make your re-edits as easy as possible, is to stay organized and plan your stuff when you shoot. Like if you give yourself options for editing purposes, you're actually not just giving yourself options, you're giving brands options too. If something is, off, or as Ali said, like if you have a skincare product and so this is what I was going to say earlier about the unboxings, right? Because the edits for unboxings can be very tricky too.
Yeah, it's a one
And
time.
this
Yeah, because
quite
you already
often,
opened the box, yeah.
quite often it is just you have that one chance to get that unboxing sorted. And we actually saw a couple of times, I think, in the feedback, in the messages between the brand and creator, that sometimes the brands actually resend boxes because something was off as well. So obviously that's great if the brand can do that and everyone's on the same page. But with unboxing, I actually sometimes have more questions to the brand than with testimonial or any other videos, because it's like, look guys, we've got one shot and one shot only to get it done, especially when it's like ASMR or like something very close up, that it needs to be super perfect, because otherwise it's just going to lose that traction, right? And that impact. So I think with unboxing, for brands and for creators, it's very important to remember that this initial shot is so important. And also just always plan your framing as well. So like think where that box is going to be when you open it. Make sure that you actually see the screen when you do it. So that the placement is very important. And obviously just shoot as many angles and POVs if you have two phones at the same time. That would be great as well, because you kind of ensure yourself a little bit for the future too. But also once you shoot, and this is what Ali mentioned, so does the client want to have a product in the box or product outside of the box or the product and the box separate? There's so many ways that you can do it. So shoot all of them. That would be my advice here.
I think as well too, like what you were saying there, that it is sometimes going back, because a lot of times too, I've seen brands will send like their newly brand launching, they don't have their proper branded
Packaging
yet that it's posted in, that then they're like, oh, don't show that, but like it's been shown within the unboxing. So it's also too just making sure that the brand is on the same page. They're like, okay, is this your official packaging? What way is it kind of going to be? That like, do we show it? Don't we show it? sometimes brands, when they're only newly launched and they haven't got everything finalized yet, they'll be getting their UGC. So it's making sure, once again, with them, that is this a packaging you want to be showing online? Or if you don't have that sorted yet, we'll just focus on showing the product. I think too, for example, if you've ever seen on Instagram, artists, I love watching painting videos and stuff at the minute. Like, love it. But I always say, and I love seeing it too, like they'll practice the motion because they only get one shot of doing it for these kind of paintings. So they'll practice it before doing it. Do the exact same with these unboxings. So I'll literally have my frame set up of my camera pointing, and then I'll be like, right, I'm pretend I'm going to open this. I'm going to open it like that. I'll do. Nicola's even doing it with me. You know. But I practice it because you only do get one shot. And also too, it comes back to being obvious, but some people don't realize it. Make sure your camera is not in reverse. That packaging is reversed, because that's, once again, number one. I see that too many times. I'm like, it's nearly obvious that for a creator, like if you're filming and it's reversed, the packaging's obviously reversed. The product, the wording is, flip that back. You need, because then straight away the brand's obviously going to be like, that's a re-edit, like that, we can't see the packaging.
Can I just say, this is probably the most requested re-edit ever.
Yeah, it's such a pity
It's
that one.
to
Like,
mirror so the text is not
Yeah, it's
readable
not-
the right way around.
And the same regard too with when it comes to packaging, don't have it upside down. Also, do not be showing your actual address on it. Like, have that covered, like cross that. Like, there's all these different little things. But then when it comes to even like unboxing, like with the ribbon and stuff as well, just make sure you've got it all the right way around. We could go on and on for ages about this. There's so many little things that you have to think of that for someone just viewing a video, they wouldn't even think that, oh, they had to actually really be like, is this perfect? Is there marks? But before it's happened for me too, for example, I filmed, the brand sent it out. I've assumed it came from their warehouse and they actually know what it looks like. But a lot of time these brands will send products that they're not physically in the warehouse. They've got someone else shipping the product somewhere else. I got products that came in. One of them was completely like wrinkled and weird, and the other one, it looked better. So I used it. But in some of the clips I tried not to show up, but you could see it a little bit. And then for the brand, they were like, wait a minute, has that how it came to you? We're actually going to have to get on to our packaging company because we didn't know products were getting sent out like this. This is not good enough for customers and whatnot. So that was a lesson to me too. Back then, I was like, okay, going forward, I need to be the really fussy one, being like, this is how this came. Are you happy? Or do you want it resent? Because then in the long run, it saves me doing a full video, having to wait for them to send again, changing the clips and all that as well. So there's lots to it with unboxing videos.
Yeah. But I think to like kind of just say what the actual re-edit would be then, it would be something to do with either the audio, so your script, which can easily be avoided by sending a script for approval, or pronunciation. And this is Google Pronounce is your best friend.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. For our accent, I was going to say it definitely does, but I would check it through that and then ask, because I know for me, my accent, how words over here pronounced are not how Google always says it. So I always need to, I love it personally when brands will put in and they'll say pronounce and they'll do like the actual pronunciation. That is such a golden ticket. And especially too, there was a brand I seen recently and they were using Roman numerals for their brand, but everyone was then saying the number 9, and then they started saying themselves, like, by the way, this has happened quite a bit. Our brand name actually is like, said it and then the Roman numerals rather than the number 9. It was like XI. So it's one of those things too that it's kind of like, make sure you point out the obvious if you're a brand too to people, so they can't, like, it's nearly foolproof. But also too, if you are the creator, double check brand name, because it's like nearly no one likes their name being pronounced wrong because it's their name. Same for a brand. They don't want something they've invested so much time and energy into being said wrong. It's nearly like a wee insult. So double, triple check.
Yeah. Definitely, 100%. So yeah, anything to do with the audio. And then, as we mentioned, like replacing specific clips or some sort of technical issues with them, right? If something's cropped at the top, or the overlay is not perfect, or the green screen, maybe sometimes the green screen doesn't actually fit perfectly as well, or it covers too much, or it covers too little, and things like that. So that technical things, I think, is another aspect that's quite often used in the edits, or it should be, right? If something is like technically not well edited, then in my eyes, that's also a reason to request an edit. So here, I think it would be quite nice to talk about those technicalities as well. Obviously, the green screen that I've mentioned, but Ali, any sort of like other common edits that you see?
I would say like the dimensions of thing is such a big thing, that like that black space, like you were saying, like that happens nearly too many times. And I'm like, that comes back to attention to detail too, that creators need to check sometimes, like, is that blank space in it, because you don't want it. More technicalities I would say is the mic. We spoke about this a few times. The echo pops. Like, there's nothing worse either. Sometimes it can be a beautiful video, everything's filmed like so well, but it just comes down to the audio, that it's like all the time or it's too close. And I think that unfortunately just wrecks a really nice video. So always making sure too that when you're filming your actual voiceover, or if it's face to camera, happens more so when it's just a voiceover because you're holding it up close. Just double check it before you put it on, and be ruthless with it too. Same goes with if you're saying a script and you're pronouncing words wrong, like in general, or you like double taking words, you need to have that really clear and clean, because straight away for the brand, they'll not want to like jumble up words when they're in their script. They want it to be perfect. So it's nearly being really, really picky. So then that the brand, like, preempting, if the brand's going to be picky, that there's nothing that they can kind of come back on. And I
Mm-hmm.
always advise people too, while you can't overthink everything, and I don't recommend doing that, it's also not the worst thing sometimes, because there's nothing worse if you overthink and you're like, I don't think that's right, I should change that clip. And if you don't, and then they're like, oh, here, that's exactly what I want changed, then you're like, damn, should have just done it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of other technicalities, I'm trying to think what other things there would be, but it is just more of having, even too, I suppose, like with captions, like we spoke about this once again, make sure they're in the safe zone. That's a really common thing brands could come back with, because then when they're doing ads, it's like it's chopped off or it's not right. So it's just always having this code of checking, I guess you could say, that you're
Mm-hmm.
making sure you don't have in any video, because those will automatically be things that come back and be the re-edits, which you don't want. But
Yeah.
anything else from anyone too? Because I know there's a
Yeah,
lot you could say.
I think the one more that I would mention, I think is worth mentioning, is the kind of like a storyline, right? So if you are doing a skincare routine, quite often the brand will come back saying that the product's order is wrong,
Mm,
or something like that. So
Yeah.
that would be quite an often and a re-edit in my eyes as well, because obviously the
That
creator
could
didn't
be
really.
end up being a bit of a reshoot if they
Reshoot,
Could
depend how
yeah.
they've
be.
done it.
It could
Yeah.
be, but it depends on how you shoot it, obviously. But that would be a reason for a re-edit in my eyes, is when you obviously didn't really pay attention enough to communicate enough or get that information across how to use the products. Or sometimes it could be also in any other different type of videos, right? For example, when you make a protein shake, I see sometimes that creators get that storyline a little bit all over the place. And I'm not talking about a visual hook that, for example, is like the protein shake close up of the texture or something, and then you move into making the shake. That's completely fine. And that's actually what we want to see more. But I'm talking a little bit more into like the storyline itself. So, for example, when someone's walking with a shake and then making it, and it's like cutting back and forth in that storyline. So then the audience is a little bit like, whoa, all over the
What's
place.
happening?
Yeah. So I think that is quite often a re-edit as well, is when brands asked for reverse or like swapping the clips around. And another one would be is that the B-roll is just too long and too static. And I
Mm,
think that's a big one as well. Is like
yeah.
when this can make, like, let's stick to that protein shake, like you opening the packet. And so many times I see people actually opening the packet, turning it around so the branding is visible, getting the spoon out. And it's like 15 seconds
No.
in
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
still, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no. We need quick cuts, quick snappy things. You know, it's just like rip, spoon in, texture, put it in, blend
Yeah.
it, beautiful. And then you realize it's 4 seconds and you showed everything. You showed the
Yeah.
key moments. And I think that's another edit. Something that I would consider an edit if I was a brand was like pacing. We need a pace in that
Yes.
B-roll, and a little dynamic as well. I think is very important too.
Yeah. I think that covers it all really nicely. And I think it's leading into now, obviously, what is a reshoot and what qualifies? I think it'll be good, first of all, to come from the creator's point of view, what we classify as a reshoot, and then obviously a brand, because sometimes as well, there can be like confusion here. The
Mm.
first thing I'd say, actually, to end up our re-edits too, specifically on clip, me and Nicola, we give feedback, so we do on videos. One thing just to let creators know, because sometimes I think they get confused. And then I remember you were saying on the live, was it maybe Nicola, or another podcast, about like, unfortunately, one time you give feedback and the creator then redone the video on
Yeah.
your feedback. So we are just providing feedback. It's tips for future videos, how you can improve for future. Whereas a brand, if they come in with a re-edit, that's something from them. So they are nearly they're the person at the end of the day that is paying you. So you listen to their re-edit. Ours is just tips and tricks for future.
Yeah.
Maria, would you like to, I know, because obviously from Clip's point of view as well, if I'm missing anything?
No, that's it. Yeah. So the feedback from the girls is just like general advice for
We're like,
future videos in
yay.
general. So you should take into account their advice as well. It's not like they're putting a lot of effort into it. So
Yeah.
it's not
Watch
like
every video.
so it's not that it's not important. It's just the second most important thing if you are taking this seriously. And so the brand's feedback, the edit request that is coming through your chat, that's the important one, and that's the one that you should follow. Sometimes it can actually, like
So I guess it's like we're more like your coaches, as in like what can be done better in the future.
Yes.
So we're more like into the future, and then the brand is like, this
No.
is what you
now.
need to be changed. This is what needs to be changed now with the video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For it.
exactly.
So then getting into reshoots, Nicola, what would you say is from a creator's point of view, because like there's two very separate things here, what would classify as a reshoot on the creator's side that they didn't do right? Because I want to talk about briefs, because this can be a full other thing. So you're a creator, you do something, video, you're having to do your reshoot. It's kind of your fault. What would those things be that made it end up being you needing to reshoot, and it kind of falls more onto you than the brand?
Well, first of all, it's a nightmare. Full stop.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
a dreaded word. No one wants to see that. And because it is just, I think it's a little bit of like, almost like you didn't get it right. Let's try again. It's like
Yeah.
good effort,
It's like you failed the test,
A
Yeah, it
little
is.
bit.
It's like repeat your work.
Here's your I feel like re-edit is something that's like quick and snappy and can be done literally like once you opened the email and you're like, perfect, send, forgotten about. Reshoot is just a whole nother story, right? Because obviously we need to actually refilm any parts of sometimes the full content straight from the beginning. So we're starting from the scratch based on the feedback that the brand provided. Now, obviously, as Ali mentioned, there are things where sometimes that reshoot is a little bit of like a gray area, right? It's not always obvious if we're at fault or someone else at fault, or there's just a miscommunication happening as well. So obviously every creator wants to avoid them. But I think there are a couple of main reasons where if I did something, I sent the video, I would be like, fair enough, I effed up here. This is,
Yeah.
I'm going to reverse that, right? I think the most common mistake would be that there's like something on you when you speak. So there's like a stain or a logo.
Wait, guys, so this actually happens like more than you think it would.
All the time. All the time. Sometimes I would record testimonial and it's great. I literally just put a t-shirt on straight from the clothing rack, right? And I put it on and I'm like 3 sentences in and I'm like, what is this little hair doing there? Has there been there this whole time? And you're just like, okay, perfect. So let's start again. Because you would be surprised. It's such a tiny detail, but then it reflects in the light. It keeps the attention on that little thing instead. So one main thing would be just to do with appearance, right? So something stained or like there's like, unfortunately,
tan?
sometimes fake tan is a big one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. And I think especially when it's like close-up shots and you see it's just all the attention to detail, isn't it? Either it's like fake tan or makeup if it's not like blended well or like a little bit too contrasty rather than
as well, like
nails chipped.
Yeah,
All of those things. And unfortunately, as much as we want to be authentic, it needs to be presentable at all times as well, because obviously it is your face and your personality, your image out there. So obviously that would just be like something that I would consider anyways. But especially when we always need to have it in mind that we are a brand's ambassador in a sense, like who we are is like the perfect client and someone who would be looking into the brand, right? So I think this is very important to remember that we are in a way representing the brand as well. So if they are very like aesthetic driven and attention to detail, high luxury items, then it's like, come on now.
Yeah. You have to, it's all the little details you have to think of. So
Definitely.
appearance then, in terms of what you're wearing, in terms of like makeup, nails, all that stuff is one. Anything else that you would say for that as well for reshoots?
I think then obviously the first focus would be me, and then the second is the space around me as well, right? If there's a messy background or clutter or an empty cup and I pretend that I'm drinking a tea.
No, this is I've seen ads before doing this and I just cringe that I'm like, I can see the bottom of your cup and I can see there's no tea in that. Or like they're flinging it about too much. And like if that was actually filled, you would not be like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. 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 So yeah, space around us and like the props, let's
Yeah.
say, right?
There's
And also I think if we use the wrong props as well, like something that can be like sometimes we wouldn't think, but something can look inappropriate or like not on brand. I feel like people like there's this trend of like clipping the microphone to like weird objects. That can be tricky as well. And if you don't communicate that with the brand before, this could be a reshoot as well, in my eyes.
like
If you like
a
put it on a
cooking
fork.
utensil or something when you're talking about your skincare routine in the bathroom doesn't fit.
Yeah. You need to think about the bigger picture if there's contextual sense to it.
Yeah.
So I think that would be another one. But I'm sure that there's more around like a spatial awareness as well. Ali, what would be your
Say like the biggest thing is I'll always, especially it's a face to camera talking one, I'll always for the initial, for example, if I'm filming one go, I'll then watch the entire clip back, like speeding up, like skimming through it to make sure and really making sure it's okay. Because sometimes I'll be like, crap, there's like if it's in my bedroom, like the mirror's angled funny that you can see part of the room that might be like where I dumped everything to try and like make it clean and tidy, and like you can see that. Or for example, for me one time, it was once again in my room and like my bed sheet, like you know, the flat sheet or the fitted sheet, it wasn't fully down that you could see the mattress like cover underneath it. But then I was like,
Oh,
and like this is maybe me being really picky, but I was like, that doesn't look neat and tidy. But brands do. For example, we've seen briefs that'll say if it's furniture, like that there's no cables around, that it's tidy and clean. Also too, if you're filming, and like this is why I always try to use quite a plain or like simple background. You'll never see me filming. For example, my kitchen's down this end. If I was turned around, that view, unless it's pristine, which is hard all the time to have, because that can be, and I feel like yes, it's authentic. It's a kitchen, it's this and that. But sometimes it's nothing worse that actually just looks really untidy and messy because it's distracting and it takes away, as you were saying, Nicola, like you're representing a brand and like, does that align with what their ethos is, what they want to be showcasing? So background, I would say, would be one of my biggest ones. I've thought of one before going to it, is the noise. If there's building work going on, if there's a dog barking, the sound when you're filming, that's a reshoot, because if a brand can hear in the background like all this stuff, it's not a good one. That a reshoot, if you've completely rudely ignored the entire brief and you've just went, "Oof, I'll do what I want." Like, come on.
Yeah, and it unfortunately it happened, and I've seen it on clip. You know,
It does.
Like, what is in your mind? Like, how can you?
I think it sometimes might be that the creators maybe have too many projects going on and they just lose track.
Probably,
Yeah.
And
Probably,
it goes back again to staying organized.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think too, for example, like there'll be things mentioned in briefs like do not, like even too, this goes back to clothing, like don't have any other brands showcasing stuff, or they're like, and then I'm like, oh, there's very clearly a brand logo there, or they'll have like competitor brands. For example, if it's like shampoo in the shower, they're using this one. All I can see is L'Oreal and all the like different little things that you have to nearly do like the reshoot if you were filming that location to
And these
change
are
that.
And these are the things that I feel like we should always take into consideration without even looking into the brief. Do not show competitor items. Do not wear any logos. Make sure that you don't have anything that's too eccentric unless obviously requested by the brand, otherwise in the brief.
Yeah.
These are the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Right? And I think unless requested otherwise by the brand, sometimes brands want to do a comparison of other brands, which I think is quite tricky and cheeky as well. I'm not sure how that even works.
Yeah, I would like to look into, because I've seen a brand recently and they're doing this, and feedback on some of the videos was all about like, oh, you didn't mention the competitor brand. I'm like, are you allowed to, like, usually that's a no-no. You don't mention, because it's kind of like you shouldn't. One thing also I want to add in is a full reshoot's lighting. We all know by now, if we're creators, good lighting and bad lighting. And if you're filming a video in like a really gloomy bathroom that doesn't have good lighting, like I personally believe, like, unless you've pre-vetted it, I wouldn't be surprised if I'd sent a video and the brand come back but like, no, like the lighting's really bad. And I'd be like, you know what, fair. Because you could have done a beautiful video, but if that lighting's horrific, that's not a good video. And it doesn't matter what you're going to try, edit or do to make it better. To me, that is a reshoot as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think there is obviously, I think so many creators on clip who go around this issue very easily, because obviously we cannot have natural light in every single flat. And we understand, and today we're literally facing windows and you're quite glowing actually, so I shouldn't be saying that.
No, it's gloomy.
But if we don't have that, especially in smaller rooms like the bed, like a bathroom or kitchen, just use artificial lighting. And the same goes to sound quality as well. If you know in your heart of hearts that your sound sounds shit on your phone, £30, £40 external mic. This is an investment. It's
Yeah.
not a lot, but this is just for creators who really want to level up as the UGC. This is not essential, but this is something that if you want to feel really proud, and this is like it, every single thing is just perfect. If you care about your craft and want to level up, just get that little external mic. It's going to be such a game changer that you wouldn't believe it.
And also too, if you're doing it, it allows you to have so much more flexibility of when you can film, because if you have these things ready to go, like boom, sorted, you can kind of film whenever and it doesn't affect it as much, the lighting or the sound that day. Back to then about briefs. So obviously if you don't follow the brief, now if we're going to go from the other point of view, when a brand asks for a reshoot, that technically isn't the creator's fault. So off the bat, I will say here, and I hate it, it does happen more than you guys would think too, that when a brand literally gives you the script, gives you the brief, and then you film it, send it off, and then they're like, actually, we've decided we'd like to have this messaging or this angle instead. To me, number one, very cheeky, very cheeky. You've already given that to the creator. You've already decided on it. That's a full video, like a new video. And like that comes back to like for brands putting briefs in, you need to make sure you're happy that you've double checked it, you've triple checked the messaging, because a lot of times too, brands will be like, oops, that's not actually right. Or, oh, we changed our discount code. It's actually this now. If it's just a discount code and it's like at the end, I'm like, fine, to re-edit, be quick enough. But if it's like messaging the whole way through, or for example, I worked for a brand in the past, and obviously I'm in Northern Ireland. The ad was for Northern Ireland. They were a UK based company. However, it was for a car company. Our laws are different here, slightly different. Entire things videos I'd filled for them. There was 4 videos. Each one of them weren't correct because of the laws that had been mentioned wasn't actually correct for here. And they had to come back and say this, and I had to just be black and white simple. And this is for creators out there too that are scared to do this. You're in the right to do this. I had to just be like, look, we can't confirm the contract signed. We confirmed the scripts they were signed off to. Since this is actually a full reshoot, I'm going to have to like fully create these videos again. It is a full new 4 set of videos I'm going to have to charge, because then they were like, oh, actually, right. Okay, then we'll figure out and we'll sort it out on our side.
Yeah.
So then they re-added it and they done it, which I was happy enough with. But you do sometimes have to stand up for yourself, because me at the very start of my journey, they're like, oh yeah, of course I'll sort that. Just not to make anyone cross. Whereas now I'm like, it takes time and energy. And when you do this as a business, you need to be like, you know what, I will push back to that, because
That's it.
it's actually on your side that the issue happened.
It's a hard life for people pleasers in UGC,
Yes.
I think. So it's definitely something that we need to work on.
Okay.
And I think it would be very interesting to hear from you, Maria, on this side, because we know, we've all been there, that Clip is so supportive of their
Yes.
creators.
Yeah.
And I think it would be great to hear like some, maybe like most typical reshoot requests that you would be like, nah, absolutely not. Or
Yeah.
when is it like the gray area? How do you like figure that out?
Yeah. So we 100% like support those creators that they come to us and be like, look, the brand is actually looking for a reshoot, but I don't think it's the situation. Obviously we check and everything like that, but most of the times, yeah, we have to take the creator side, because that's the reality. I think the most common ones, and which I completely like, I mean, they're very cheeky, and it's not necessarily a complete reshoot, but it's like, can we change the hook? And I'm like, no, you have to get a variation for that. It's
Yeah.
not, it's an extra work for the creator, and this is not like fair. So we get, well, to be fair, I think we haven't had so many in the last period, but we used to at some point. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was their first time on Clip and they didn't know that they have to actually buy like a variation for that, but fair enough. Now they know. And I think like reshoots again would be like, oh, but we actually wanted this video to be shoot outdoors instead of indoors, but you've never specified this.
This is actually one that I came to you about, that I
Yeah,
filmed the video
exactly.
outside. And it was one of those ones too that I was like, Maria, they only sent one bottle. It's opened. I filmed myself drinking it. Like I was like, what do I do? No, but like for situations
Literally.
like that, but I really appreciate it because you were so, once again, too, and this is what I've always loved about Clip. Like, if there's ever any issues, I never have felt, and obviously, like, we work together now that, like, I know you, but even before that as well, I've always felt the sense of like, I can go and I never have to feel nearly like I'm in trouble. It's just like open communication,
Yeah.
like, look, this would happen. Like, what should I do? And it's just always nice, solid advice that's never even either being like, oh, this is your fault or their fault. It's just, okay, let's work this out and figure out what to do here.
That's
Yep.
it.
But which you don't like a lot of the time too. And I think for creators, like we're really scarred that we're like, oh, it's always the big bad agencies, big bad platforms. They're going to tell us off and we're the wee people that don't get
Because
supported.
unfortunately, that's what happens most of the
Yeah.
time, right? On
Yeah.
other platforms or other agencies that sometimes, unfortunately, they are inconsiderate of the amount of work, etc. Like when you actually listen to our podcasts, like there's so much stuff that goes into just creating a 15-second video, right? And I think sometimes brands or agencies, or especially like platforms and agencies, have the tendency of just not thinking about it at all. And obviously, they have a bigger fish to fry in their mind. So that's fair. But when you find a platform or an agency that actually really cares, it almost is like, whoa, like,
I will like it is that element. Like you'll do, but the work you provide so much better, not even in a way of like you're not providing good work. It's just because you're happy and you're like, okay, I know this is like, and you will naturally just be
yeah.
happier and that'll translate to your content too. I always think. But yeah, when you find those agencies or platforms or even brands that you work with that they're just so lovely, I'm like, I will do anything for you. Like, I love you. Like, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, you make my life easy. Of course I will. But it even comes back to like content. I'll be sending content so much quicker because I'm like, yes, I want to keep them happy. I love them. Like, yeah, there's a lot to it that they're nice to you, you'll be nice back.
That's it. It works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
Literally.
Maria, what was the most do you remember like the most ridiculous reshoot request or something that you were like, what? Can you think of any? I know I put you on the spot, but it would be so interesting.
Yeah, I'm nosy now. I want to know. Like leaning in.
I don't remember very clearly. I'm sure I have one in mind, but I don't remember clearly. I know it was like it was an extremely long like edit request. It was insane. I don't know. It was like a
Poem.
probably like an A4 page kind of thing. Like literally in our admin, when you check messages, you can see like I don't know, probably 6 or 7 messages on a page. That one, it was just one like message literally, and it was like
Juicy.
it was just ridiculous. Like they were asking for like really ridiculous small things, like just things like, I'm not sure if it was this, but I've seen some other stuff like this, like, oh, can you move the glass of the water, can you move it a bit further to the left or something like that. It's just like, what the hell.
Pat.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and the amount of requests, it was just like, it was unhealthy.
Curiosity, did they put in a script and brief and have it very like storyboarded or anything or what? I'd love to know
Let me guess. Up to the creator.
Probably was up to the creator, but I think they probably had sort of like a script, but I don't think it was a detailed one.
I think that's what's important too for brands, and this is for brands out there, that if you're making a script and you know so hardly in your head what exactly you want, like add those details in, because this is the thing with creators. Like we work with so many brands that are from one end of the scale to the other that it's like completely up to you. This is a product, make it authentic, whatever you want to do, to the other scale of like, right, for this shot, we want this mention. When you're mentioning this, we want you doing this action. Like there's a massive scale difference that, and by the way, I love doing both, but if you are the type of brand that you have such a clear idea in your head, put that in the brief and make it really clear, because then us as creators be like, right, they know exactly what they want. I'll not deviate from this. I'll give them what they want. Compared to if you don't do a lot, it does leave a lot of room for interpretation that you think then, okay, I'll just go and put my own spin on this, which I get some brands love to have, but other brands don't die. They're so clear in their brand guidelines of how they want to look in their feed, all this stuff that you do need to think about that as well.
But one thing that I would say here to like all the brands, and in the nicest way possible, make sure that like whatever you actually request from the creators is something that actually somehow affects your strategy as well. Like that glass being 2 centimeters is not going to do anything.
That's giving me micromanager.
That's going to be just micromanaging people. And as much as it doesn't work in the office space, it doesn't work in the UGC space too. Just think about things that actually are going to affect your audience or their engagement or video. Like, and that's what you should put in a brief. Don't put things that are just, if I'm being honest, just slightly ridiculous,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then it's like, you're just making each other's lives harder for no apparent reason. And then both sides feel it too. Like the creator can also be like, it's like, it was fine, but now the collaboration is kind of off.
Yeah.
And it works both ways and creators also talk between themselves, just like brands do and agencies do.
There's so many accounts, just
very
as I say,
strong
popping up.
community.
There's so many accounts now popping up, even like completely outing brands and agencies and being like, this brand, like there's an account I follow, and the first time I was like, whoo, can't believe they're doing this, ballsy, but fair play. But basically they are publicizing brands. I don't think they've done, well, no, they did do agency too one time, but they're publicizing specific brands that creators have worked with. The creators will then send to them and be like, this is what happened, reshoot requests and stuff. And then they didn't get payment out of chase.
Is it called the Naughty Brands or something? Like another naughty brand or something like that? Because I
No,
literally
it's
saw a
like,
post about it yesterday as well.
I
on
think
one
it's
of the accounts.
called, we're doing shout outs here. What's it called? It was like UGC on it's like UGC on social or something, like I'm
Oh,
nearly
right.
searching for
Because
it.
the one that I got is like, they just started a series of posts, and I think it's called like something beach creators, or like,
Yes, that's literally them. It's
That's the
Creator
one?
Beach. The profile
That's
is
the
called
one.
Creator Beach. But yeah, Naughty Brand Alert.
Is
was
that what
the
they
post was.
called beach?
Naughty.
As in like Creator Beach, but like,
Oh my god, that just clicked. That might be playing the word. But yes, so like this is the thing too. So that was literally like the post, and then in it, what happened. So
red
the
flags.
community talks among each other too, that if, for example, you work with a brand that you're like, oh, they actually, we're being really unrealistic with reshoots and wanting this, people will say, and they'll be like, don't talk. Or like, there's a lot of people too I follow, and like creators talk a lot in their priv, that they're literally like, this brand, this brand, this brand. That's crazy. That the word is always out there that people are like, what's happening. So if you're a brand and you're trying to be like, let's get the best creators, like best things, just be fair with it as well. One question, Maria, I have for you as well is, what should a creator do specifically on clip, like the roadmap? I film a video, brand comes back with a re-edit request. I'm sitting feeling like, well, first of all, if it's my fault, it's my fault. I will do it. However, if I'm feeling like, oh, I don't feel like this is fair, I am going to do it. But like, should I just do it? What do I do, Maria?
I mean, I don't think you should do it. You just, like, if you don't feel like it's normal, I would encourage you to just tell the brand. Like, first thing, just tell the brand, like, it's fine. Like, we might need to approve your messages, because now we automatically approve most of the messages, because like, it's fine, Some of them are still impending because of like, negotiations and all these
Keywords.
things. So yeah, keywords that like they pop up, and we just have to be careful. But in any case, just like be like, brave and tell the brand. It's not going to harm you. If the brand comes back and they're like, no, you have to reshoot, and you still feel like, I don't feel like it's right to do that, just reach out to us and like let us know. Like, 'cause it's very hard for us to know what is happening for all these collaborations. There's like thousands of collaborations, and we can't keep like up with them, of course. So your duty is to just let us know when these things happen, so we can actually, flag the brand. So just reach out to us at hello@useclip.com and tell us what is happening. We'll have a look into it as well, and we will reach out to the brand if that's the case. If the case is like you had some, it was also your fault, then it's very hard to actually take.
But you have been. We've seen those moments, we've heard those situations that you have been very fair in your judgment, which obviously either side, of the creator side or the brand side, we can get a little subjective sometimes, and we're like, obviously I'm not at fault, and obviously we're not at fault, and then it's just like, right. And you can be that negotiator in the middle.
I have
often,
to.
right?
That's my job. I have to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because otherwise it's not going to be like a successful business at the end of the day. So you have to.
That's
You
it.
have to be Switzerland. Otherwise, it's not going. Because I do get it when brands, and I've said it a lot of times in our podcast and in our lives as well. I do understand that brands are paying for these videos, and yes, we should protect them in a way. But if it's not correct, then it's not correct,
I was just going to say, I think it comes back to like, if you're a brand and you're wanting to protect yourself, and if you're a creator and you're wanting to protect yourself, it comes back to the brief. That is like the contract as such. Because if you're a creator and they've come back and they're like, I want to re-edit, I want to reshoot, and you're like, oh, that's not fair, I don't want to do it. If you have not followed that brief and you've deviated, even if it comes down to words and they're asking for specific words to be changed because you didn't follow the script, that's on you. That it just sometimes has to be like, checklist, did I do everything that I was supposed to? I'll reread that brief. Actually, I didn't. Well, then no, the brand does have a point. And same point backwards. If you're a brand and you're asking for a reshoot or re-edit and like you had it all in the brief and the creator actually followed that, then also too, you have to kind of be like, look, is that actually fair or not? So it just comes back to, once again, I feel like, as we always say, how important that brief is.
That
Yeah.
100%. And I
Yeah.
think that definitely sums up we talked about the edits, we talked about the reshoots, but there is one more topic that we haven't mentioned that is
Oh, yeah.
quite new to Clip as well,
Yes.
which is something that I believe has been requested by both brands and creators as well, right? And it's what is it, Maria?
It's the second round of edits like feature. If a situation where the brand is requesting an edit but it's not the creator's fault, then obviously there's going to be like a email exchange where we explain to them that this is not happening, and then if they still want to do it, they can just purchase a second round of edits so that they can fulfill their video. But this is again only if the creator has followed the brief accordingly and has done like the video, like it's aligned with the requirements. It's the only situation where the brand has to go for the second round of edits, because
Mhm.
it happens in a lot of times. Before we had this feature, I remember that we actually had to pay the creators ourselves to do an edit, because it wasn't fair for the creator, right? So, and the brand really wanted to have that creator, because sometimes if the brand asks for edits, we have these situations as well. If the brand asks for edits and then the edits are not aligned with the brand, and but this doesn't fall in the second round of edits anyway. And then the brand is like, look, and it's not really the brand, it's myself, that I see that, okay, I don't think this is going to work, even if it's a second round of edit, if it's the third round of edit, I'm just going to be like
It's just
super
not
honest.
the right.
It's not the right match, and I'll be like, look, I'm going to be super honest, I don't think this is going to work. I prefer to give you another creator instead than just like going into hell with this, like back and
So,
forth.
when you mentioned the second round of edits as well. So if the brand requests a original re-edit, right? And then if the creator doesn't, like, they sent the video, but it doesn't actually respond to all the feedback, or something is still off, whatever, then does that apply for second round of edits, or how is that situation handled then?
If the creator is not following the,
Still
Yeah,
doesn't do the right re-edit.
something is still wrong.
I mean, if it's the creator's fault, then there's not
It's for
going to be
them.
a second. It's on them, and they will have to provide the second
Yeah.
edit, basically.
Okay. So
Without
this is
any extra-
also I think important point to put across to creators as well. Take those re-edits seriously. We see so many times when those edit requests are ignored for a very long time from creators' side as well.
Yes. No.
It's just rude. Don't
Yeah.
ignore it, because then you're going to be the person that they're going to remember for just that sort of behavior as well. And when you do the re-edits, actually pay attention to it and put as much energy as you put in that original video, if not more, because you then have to kind of prove your worth
Yeah.
again a little bit,
Yeah.
right? So definitely very important to remember as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I just realized that I would have probably added this to the reshoot like issues. I think another thing, and this is the last thing that I'm saying, and we'll probably have to end this episode because it's been quite a while, is basically the attitude and the tone of voice that you're using. I feel like I've seen, because this is also tricky for me, when I see like request edits of like, your energy is really low, and you should have like been more
Say needs
proactive.
before too.
I feel like when you are talking about like, I don't know, like an energy drink, let's say it's an energy drink, I know it's the most obvious like thing to be energetic, but like it's the one example that I have in mind now. Like you just can't be talking like you're bored,
Yeah.
There's a difference, I think, between personality and then energy that you put into something.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
understand, I think, both sides, because I do agree with Ali that obviously your
course.
personality is why you should have been chosen. But
Yeah.
also, there is the level of like, if you put your 100% or if you put your 20%
Yeah.
variety.
feel this links quite a bit to with tone. So like the tone that you use, that
Yeah.
you're completely right there. Like if you're talking about something, you're just like, yeah, so today got this
Yes,
energy drink that I'm
exactly.
trying.
I've
Let's do
seen
it.
those videos. I've seen
That's
those
like,
videos.
we all know that like we do put on our wee actor voice, like, right guys, today, like I am so, like you can put it on, you can do it, but
I call those videos punishment UGC. Like when I give feedback, that because it feels like they are recording this video as a punishment for something they. It's
Yeah.
like you take on punishment and you're just there like, whatever.
So,
Does the other side also apply, right? If someone's like, so guys, this is
oh my God, yes.
this
I
also
would
is
say
like
yes, like if like, that's such a thing, like the tone's not right, and like that can be, I won't lie either, tricky to get the brand's tone. But this comes back to too, like
True.
researching, because then if the
Mm.
brands come back like, love the video, however, like the tone's just not 100% there, then I'm like,
yes,
fair,
fair.
it is,
I
and that
see
is.
it.
And also too, sometimes a person could follow the brief perfectly and they could do all this, and genuinely they might have just completely picked it up wrong. And in that situation, yes, it's a grey area, but still it's kind of like it's on the creator
Mm.
that fair enough, but you kind of need
Yeah.
to get that right. But
Yeah.
no, I think that's been a really good talk, girls, and like so much
Insightful.
in it. And I hope for everyone listening too that you got a good few hacks out of that too, how to kind of make life easier. And also too, I think it would be amazing for people to listen to this and like nearly use it as a little checklist of, are you making sure before you're sending videos off that you're doing these things, or when you filmed that you're making sure that you're having the least possible chance of a re-edit, or goodness
That's
forbid,
it.
an actual reshoot.
The goal of this episode is to talk about re-edits and reshoots less and less,
Yes.
basically.
We will talk in a year's time.
Yeah.
See where we are.
All
All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for listening. If you have any questions or if you have any topics that you want us to discuss in the podcast or in the live, just let us know either on social media. We're pretty much everywhere, or email hello@useflip.com. Or if you have any questions about the product or anything around it, or as a creator, or how to get on the platform, again, just reach out to us over email is the best way. I mean, you can always like message us on Instagram. We check those ones, but
Slide
email
into the
is,
DMs.
yeah, slide into DMs. But most of the times into the DMs, we'll be like, oh, can you please let us
Email.
know over email?
Yeah,
Because
just email.
it's easier. Just email. If it's something super quick, then yeah, we'll reply on DM. But if it's more like complex, just send us an email. It's the same thing as DMing us, Right. Well, thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in our next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.